Maxie from My Crafty Plans. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Happy PLANMAS! It is finally time. I feel like I've been putting this off a little bit, but today we are going to start. I am going to be digging into my 2023 reflections to get ready to set up my goals for 2024. So if you don't know, I use the MakseLife system for goal setting. This will be year 3 for me in the MakseLife. I truly feel that this system, this planner has absolutely changed my life. It has changed the way I think about goal setting and think about things in my life. And I am so excited and happy to be diving in for year 3. Before we do that, I need to wrap up year 2, and that is with reflections. So this is going to be a little bit vlog style, a little bit plan with me style. I will be using the guided prompts from the 2023 MakseLife Reflections notebook. This was a free gift with purchase for when you purchased your 2024 planner. They also sell this in the shop in digital version and in a physical version, and you can also get all of the prompts for free and then work this into any journal or notebook or type it out on a computer, whatever works for you. So stay tuned. I will read through all of the prompts as we go through this video. In addition to that, I am going to be going through every single one of my annual goals from last year and letting you know how I'm thinking about it. Do I feel like I accomplished it? How did I feel the year went overall? This was such a fun video last year, and I'm so excited to be bringing it back this year. We're actually going to start that conversation. Before I dive into the reflections notebook, I really want to reflect on my individual goals. So we're going to be doing that. I'm going to be wrapping some presents, doing some different things around the house while I go through those goals. While we're wrapping presents, I will tell you, what I've got and everything like that. That's the vlog component of this. But I've also got a pile of MakseLife stuff over here. That is a daily grind box, but it has MakseLife stuff in it. So what I have here is one, I've got the 2023 reflections book. I'm not ready to work on that yet. Before we do that, we're going to dive into my goals. I also have my new feelings and emotions wheels from MakseLife. I just got these on Black Friday, but I thought this might be helpful to reference, especially when I'm working on the reflections and the goals, like in case I need a more descriptive word for something I'm trying to explain. I just really like the way that these work, the way they like branch out from like a really generic feeling like sad to something super specific like powerless or ashamed. I'm not, I don't want to feel any of those ones in that example, but I just really like the way that these are structured to help you like break down things you're thinking. I also have my current companion notebook and annual goals notebook as I store them, usually in my planner cart, but I brought them over here. I'm especially going to need my annual goals right now. And then I've got all of my other companion notebooks that are already closed out for the year. I've got my year-end reflections notebook from last year, and I also have my 2022 companion notebooks, just in case we need to reference anything. I also am going to keep these stored once I close out 2023. I'm going to store all of this stuff for 2022 and 2023 in this really pretty daily grind box. I have such a hard time throwing away a decorative box. My closet is like just full of them. So we're trying to store some things in them. So that is gonna sit like that. I've also got like some pens and markers because some of these gifts need to be labeled. I've got some sticky notes, various things. I've also got the prizes from the giveaways that I've already hosted, which also need to be mailed out. I actually think that might be where we start. But I am first gonna grab my annual goals notebook. Seen that video, definitely check it out. But what I'm gonna do is go over to my goals, and we're gonna go like life area by life area, goal by goal through each one of my goals, and I'm gonna reflect on that. And this is gonna be a verbal journal, a verbal reflections notebook of how I'm feeling about each of these goals. I will probably pull like some key highlights from this conversation into my reflections notebook as well. And all of this will obviously be going to help me set my 2024 goals, which I'm super excited to do. But before we do that, we're gonna spend some time reflections. I will do some work in the actual reflections notebook, probably in this video as well. But before we do that, I wanna really think about what my annual goals were at the beginning of the year, whether I feel like I've accomplished them, how I'm feeling about them now, and that's where we're gonna start. My PLANMAS intro video where I was setting intentions for December and just like talking about the month in general, I said that I was feeling really finished with my 2023 goals. Like I feel very accomplished when it comes to them. And I do think that that still holds true. I'm still feeling that way. It doesn't mean I've done 100% everything or that there's nothing left I should still be working on or continuing on with. Goal setting is never a finished process, but I feel like I had a really amazing and successful year, and that I really set out to accomplish the big things that I wanted to accomplish this year, even when they were hard. And it's also really hard for me I'm in such a positive mind space right now, and I'm feeling really good about the way things are going. And I did like flip back through all of my stuff, you know, before starting this process off camera. And it is really hard for me in this current frame of mind to think about the tougher times. And really, I've been feeling really, really good. I think since summer or like right before summer, but I definitely had some harder months at the beginning of the year. This was a giveaway that I ran over on Instagram. So I'm gonna get this one all packaged up. So I've got these little stickers. These were actually my contact cards at Go Wild, and they probably will be again next year. If you ever want a giveaway for me, usually throw one of those in. And also, if you're going to Go Wild, come find me. I have lots left over from last year, so I do think that they will probably be my contact card for next year as well. And these have my lettering on them, which is really special, and Sadie Stickers actually made those for me. Okay, so let's get this all wrapped up. My word of the year in 2023 was explore. I'm gonna be honest with you and tell you that I don't feel super connected to that word. I didn't throughout the year. The year before that, in 2022, my word was play, and it was like such a recurring theme in my life. I felt so connected to it, so everything. I even got like an acrylic made that said explore. I still really like the word, but I just don't feel like, I don't know, it didn't resonate with me as hard this year. I think that was still definitely a theme, because this especially was a theme when I set up my goals, but I definitely don't feel as connected to that as a word as I did last year in 2022 to play. Then I also gave myself a sub word of the year in all of my categories, which I thought was really fun, and I think I'm probably going to do that again this year. My sub word of the year for the personal category was sustain. And my goals in this category were mostly maintenance goals. They were kind of like very themed around things that I had really built up in the previous year and refine systems and keep going with them and things of that nature. So my first goal in this category was maintain and build up, was the header on the goal, and then I had 4 subheadings under that: planner systems, master calendar, goals and reflections, and calendar and scheduling systems. And 3 out of 4 of those I feel like work really smoothly and have worked very, very well all year long. And those are my planner systems. I have never been happier in my planner system than I am right now, and I really feel like a lot of strength in my planning throughout the year, and I just feel like it's been incredibly functional and is really serving its purpose. Plus, it can be fun and decorative at times, so I feel really good about my planner system. Goals and reflections, another great year. Reflections definitely tapered off at the end of the year, and back to it now. Can be a little bit of a cyclical relationship with me and reflections, but it was a really strong focus for me earlier in the year, and I also think that that's reflective of, I've said this before in videos, but I am like a sad journaler, not a happy journaler, and when things are going super well and I'm really like, you know, loving life and feel like things are running smoothly, I tend not to want to do a lot of journaling or reflections, not memory keeping and book journaling and stuff like that, which I always want to do, but just like writing Dear Diary style entries about my feelings or really thinking about all of the things that aren't working. I definitely tend to save that for more and find that more healing during times when I'm not feeling my best. And then the other one that I feel like has worked pretty well is the calendar and scheduling systems. I've had a few mishaps, because who hasn't? And yes, they're especially funny given how much time I spend with planners, and my husband will definitely let me know anytime I misdo something on the calendar. But in general, I also feel really good about my calendar and scheduling systems. I've done a really good job with like keeping us scheduled, which we'll get into the fun category. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But you know, keeping up with events that we've got going on, making sure like that things are hitting the right calendars, that people know where they need to be, all of that kind of stuff, that doctor's appointments are, you know, scheduled on time. With the one exception to that, which relates to the master calendar, which was this thing that I built last year that was supposed to be like part digital, part in a planner, like a reference thing about like when all of our doctor's appointments, car maintenance, any home maintenance, stuff like that was all due. And it also has a list of like all of the, like if there's an emergency and you need the plumber, that is the plumber's number, that is the kid's pediatrician's number. The list of resources in that works really well. Like I don't have to go back, and I've kept that updated as we've added like new workmen or doctors or, you know, contacts that we need in that. And that is really helpful. I have done a really bad job maintaining that master calendar, that big house project schedule, and that system is not working. That is definitely going to be on my goals for next year, to get that back up and running, and also just like build it out more, particularly around the home maintenance schedule. I feel like on the other side, just the regular scheduling has really helped me keep up with the doctor's appointments and that kind of stuff, and that piece is working well. But like particularly on the home and I guess car too, although not as much on the car stuff, that piece is not working very well. That also reminds me that my husband needs to go renew his driver's license and keeps forgetting about it, and now I've been forgetting to remind him, but he should definitely do that. Then my next goal in this category was to engage with hobbies in a way that feels good, fun, and sustainable. This is one where I also feel like I've done a really good job, but it's definitely taken a different shape than I was envisioning at the beginning of the year. In the beginning of the year, I did like picture a lot more specific art and also a lot more like stickering styles, memory spreads, and things like that, which isn't what's happened, but I feel really connected to my creativity. I feel really connected to my hobbies, both planner and just like regular crafting things, cooking, baking, reading. I feel really connected to reading. So I think that I've done a really good job with that, and I just had to let that kind of evolve with my definition of hobbies. But in general, feeling really connected, and I also feel like I have the time to do the things that I love to do, which is an amazing feeling. Okay, so this last one, which was from my reflections from my self-care vlog, the winner hasn't messaged me yet, so it's not quite done, but I'm gonna put everything in the envelope and then I'm gonna leave it unsealed so that I can get back in if I need to, so that person can still collect. Just mark that. And then also, likewise, I've got one more here that was the Archer and Olive one, where that giveaway is not actually closed yet, but I'm gonna do the same thing. And then while I'm doing that, we can talk about my last personal goal, which was to carve out time to reset from parenting. I think this is really important if you have if you are also a parent, especially of small children, although I'm guessing of children of any age. This is so important to my own well-being and mental health, and just, yeah, absolutely necessary. It can make you feel so guilty. I think I've done a pretty good job letting go of that guilt, although it definitely sneaks in sometimes, especially now that I don't spend quite as much time with the kids, especially my little one, because my kids are now all in school full time. But what I've really tried to tell myself there is, like, first of all, the times that I am like seeing them and I'm at the most with them are some of their hardest times of the day, particularly like I find the after school time of day just so incredibly difficult for them, and also, you know, by extension for me. Even if it's not as much time as it used to be, I still have all of the it still feels like I get all of the hardest parts of the day. And kids just require a lot from me, and I want to be there for them as much as I can, and, you know, do fun things with them and engage with them in a way that feels positive. And in order to be able to maintain that, I have to have some time for myself. I feel like I've done a pretty good job with this. I will say it's a little bit of a roller coaster. There's obviously times of the year, of the season of life, whatever you want to call it, where it's much easier for me to take that time, and there's times of the year where it's much more difficult for me to take that time. I'm getting better at not letting that like stress and tension build before it just like absolutely erupts, which is a positive. But again, that does sometimes happen. I've definitely not been perfect with this goal, but in general, I feel pretty good about this. I would say that the biggest factor in this is really I have like a very wonderful and supportive husband who I just really can't thank enough for all that he does. He's a really active and engaged parent, and he really helps out with this. He knows that if I've had like a really rough week, a really bad week, and he will go and he'll take the kids and do something with them on the weekend so that I can have a little bit of extra time. And likewise, I obviously try and do the same to him, but I definitely still have more one-on-one time with the kids than he does, so he will also get to enjoy that as well. But either way, like if one of us, especially if one of the kids is having like a really behavioral rough patch and one of us is just at the end of the room, we do a pretty good job trying to step in for each other and make sure, you know, that everybody's feeling covered and supported. That is all of the giveaway stuff I have for now. I still actually have a pile of other stuff that I'm going to be giving away, so stay tuned, more still coming. Now we need to wrap some presents and open up some Amazon packages, and we can talk about my favorite category, fun and recreation. When I first started in the MakseLife system, I will tell you this was my lowest scoring category. I think I had like a 2 on my compass assessment the first year that I the first year that I was in MakseLife, the first time I took the assessment, and I was really, really feeling that too. Like it was a true 2. Now it's one of my higher scoring categories, and like I said, I think that is why I'm so happy, why I'm loving life, is because I have really spent a lot of time investing in this category, making really meaningful and impactful goals. I think this category is so underappreciated. What I always just try and tell myself is life is supposed to be fun. Everything is more enjoyable when you are having fun, and it is worth it to put the energy into the fun and recreation and to set real meaningful goals in this category. So this year my goals in this category were one of my main goal in this category was more of a maintenance goal. It was my big stretch goal in 2022, and that was around what I like to call scheduled fun. I will explain what that means, but that was my big stretch goal for 2022. It worked amazing, completely life-changing. It will be in my goal in some format for next year as well. It is just essential. Sometimes I have to work harder at it than others, but it is so worth it. And that is my, again, scheduled fun. Every single weekend, all of our breaks, anytime we have downtime, I try and have plans, something to do. We also like to try and keep activities and different crafts and things like that that the kids can do in the house so that we have activities for when we can't leave the house. Does this happen 100% of the time, and am I perfect? Of course not, but it works so well and it is so worth it. The kids go absolutely stir crazy when we spend too much time in the house, and certainly in this season of germs and illness, which always seems to happen at this time of the year, we feel that. So anytime we can be out of the house, out doing some kind of activity, we are. In the spring, in the summer, this is so much easier. In the summer, we spend a lot of the time at the beach. In the spring, you can be outside. We can meet up at playgrounds, do different things with friends and different things like that, be outside a lot. In the winter, this is hard. It is hard to make plans every weekend when it is freezing cold outside and there's only like limited indoor spaces. Plus we've got an 8-year-old on one end and a 4-year-old on the other end. Like they don't exactly want to do the same things or go to the same places. So I will tell you that this is hard, and I do feel like this goal got harder this year for winter, not for the other seasons. But it is worth it. It is worth it to be out of the house and to have things to do. And then I specifically listed out just to have doing more things together, more parties, hosting more events at our house, more play dates. And I think I've especially lately gotten really good with the play dates. I think especially as the weather has turned cold, inviting friends over, having the kids go to the friends, double amazing, because my 2 oldest kids are old enough to have drop-off play dates, which means we can take a turn hosting a friend, and then we can also take a turn not having our kids in the house. Then the other side of that goal set has just a bunch of stuff about vacations. This was the one goal, our one big family vacation. We actually had to I had to tweak this goal because we decided that this big vacation was going to be a really big vacation with our extended family. So we're going away with my whole side of the family, my mom, my dad, his girlfriend, my brother, and my brother's wife and their kids. And we're all going on vacation at the end of January. Just because of the scheduling requirements, one of our family, but working with the other families. And at the beginning of this year, my mother-in-law had a really bad fall and was in a wheelchair for a few months, and she was actually living with us while she recuperated from that. So because of that and some other scheduling things, we kind of shifted around what we were thinking for vacations, and now we're getting ready, and in a couple of weeks we're going away, and I'm really, really excited. We will plan another big trip for next year. I think next year is going to be the year we do Disney. I'm nervous, excited, hesitant, all kinds of feelings about that. But yeah, that's what we're thinking right now. We've already started the early stages of planning of that. I also listed out mini trips and adventures. I feel like I did a pretty good job with that. We've had a couple. I'd love to do a few more. We've got one more coming up over winter break. Our big 10-year anniversary trip, whew, if you are a regular viewer of my channel, that one was a whirlwind. My husband and I had celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary Labor Day weekend this year, and we went to Colorado shortly before that to celebrate that. However, right before that trip happened, I had my little burn accident, and if you don't know what happened, I just had a really severe allergic reaction to something that left me with chemical burns all down the side of my face and neck, and it was so incredibly painful, like probably the most painful experience that I've had in my entire life, and that is coming from someone who's had 3 kids, 1 C-section and 2 without any medication, and this was more painful. We still made it happen. We still had a really nice vacation. It wasn't exactly what we had planned, but we still made it happen, and yeah, and it did. I would love to take another trip with my husband next summer and make this like a little bit more of a regular thing. I do think it gets easier as the kids get older, and also next year we won't have to, if we travel during the summer, we won't have to ask someone to watch all 3 of our kids because our oldest will actually be an overnight camp. And then the other one was Go Wild, which I went to Go Wild in Washington, D.C. It was my first time, and it was amazing. And then I am also going to Go Wild. I already have my tickets for Dallas, so I hope to see you there. Let me know in the comments if you will be there. So in general, really, really amazing. And I think my fun and recreation category will probably look pretty similar this year than it did last year. The only thing that I'm leaning towards adding either in this category or in family and relationships is I would love to have more build out of my own friendships and more build out of and like more community events and things like that. I've got some presents here. Let's take a look. This is a National Geographic rock tumbler. This is a little bit of a weird TikTok made me do it kind of moment because sometimes I like to watch rock tumbling videos on TikTok, but my son is super obsessed with rocks and crystals, and I thought that he would just really, really love this. So I bought this kit off Amazon. It was around $30. They had a $50 kit as well, but we decided to go with the $30 one. He's 5. And it comes with like a starter set, and then you can buy add-ons or find rocks and tumble them. So I'm really excited to try this. I think he's gonna really flip out for this one. I also have this friendship bracelet bead set, which I bought for my daughter. I gave her a different friendship bracelet set last night. I wanted to give them both together, but it didn't come in time. I had to give the other one, like we just had a little bit of a logistical issue with some of the shipping. So now I'm not really sure if I should give her this or if I should save it. We'll still wrap it up and mark it as what it is. And then this is super, super fun. So this is a candle making kit. I don't know if this is really specifically for kids or not. I'll let you know how all of these go. But I thought this would also be really fun. I tried to stick to like crafts and activities for the kids' presents. They got a lot of toys and things like that from grandparents. So I'm definitely gonna wrap these 2 up. Maybe we'll just do sharing gifts for tonight and wrap both of these up and make them sharing things, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's get some wrapping paper. And while we do that, we can talk about work and learning, where I have a couple of different goals and then what I did all year with this, which again, I've spoken about how I'm not really happy with how this turned out by the end of the year, and also how I might change this up for next year. So we have social media on one side, and I had 3 goals for that, and then industry, which is my freelance business, and I had 2 goals for that. So we can start with the freelance side of things. So my first goal there was just build and maintain my freelance work, like check and double check. I have had an incredible year for my business. My business has more than doubled in size this year, and I don't feel like, and while I'm definitely working more this year, I don't feel like I'm doing double the work that I was last year. So that's been really incredible. I'm so happy with that right now and the way things are going. And I really feel like it's taken the pressure off of me. I have some of this wrapping paper left over from last year that I just found. So I'm gonna use this to wrap some of this stuff up. And then I just found like so much scrap wrapping paper while I was cleaning up my office. Okay, so then, which also brings me to my second goal in that category, which was to think critically about the long term and what I want for a career. This was probably my biggest stretch goal for the year. I was dreading this. I did not want to do it. I spent so much time not doing it. And I think the reason for this is because I really don't want to go back and work for like in a corporate type environment. I don't want to switch views here because I feel like you can't see me rapping. If you want to see me rapping. I just feel like I really didn't want to go back and work in a corporate environment. I didn't want to like look for a job. I wasn't really sure. I don't want to work full time, but I knew that what I was doing last year, it wasn't enough. It wasn't realistic. It wasn't sustainable for our family, given like the kids getting older and, you know, long-term plans and all of that stuff. I spent a lot of time putting this off, and in the meantime, some really amazing opportunities on my freelance business came up, and I just kept saying yes to them. And what I eventually realized is, like, you know, I kind of woke up one day and was like, oh my gosh, wait, this is working. I don't need to change what I'm doing. I can just keep doing what I'm doing. I can grow this into something that is like a full career, makes a salary that is, you know, comparable now, will potentially be more than what I was making when I left my corporate job, and I don't have to worry about it, and I can run my own business. I am capable of that, and yeah, it's been really amazing. It's been a complete mind shift, and I'm really excited. I've got some really exciting projects lined up for next year too already, so I'm just really happy with the way that this is working, and also I just feel like the pressure is off with just where things stand right now. It is. Before, it really felt like I had this little side hustle that helped me stay connected to the career I was in prior to having kids. And now it is back to being a full career, and it's one that I don't have to do full time. I do work a lot more than I did last year, but definitely not full time, right? I am sitting at here, it's like 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, and right now I'm wrapping presents and talking to you all. So that's fantastic. Somebody asked me on one of my questions videos what my freelance business was. I worked in consulting for something financial adjacent before I had kids. I worked for a pretty big company, and now I just kind of do that through my own business. When I first started, I actually just contracted back through the company that I was with. I don't do that anymore, but now I have a different agency that I work with that helps set me up with clients, and they handle a lot of the marketing and editing and different things like that. I do a lot of writing in my work, and that's typically when I don't have a lot of projects going on. I will just write for their news site. And yeah, it's really great, and I feel like I'm pretty well respected in my industry, and I really love it too, and especially when I don't have to deal with like the corporate side of things and play all of those office politics games that I always felt like I was so terrible at. Now I'm feeling really good about it. So I'm feeling really amazing about my goals in this category and everything, but I also am feeling like I have no idea what I'm going to do with my goals in this category for next year, just because I am unsure how to divide up what I want to count as work and learning, and what I want to count as something else, like where the social media stuff kind of fits in. So at the beginning of this year, I laid out 3 goals in the social media category. They were explore the viability of social media as a career, build routines for planning, analysis, tracking, target milestones to build out my presence and opportunities, and to treat it professionally but without being consumed. I have grown my channel a lot this year. I've had a lot of really amazing opportunities. I've also come to the realization that while this is more than a hobby, it's probably never going to equal what I am able to do and what I am able to build on the freelance side. And I don't think I should treat it as such. I absolutely plan to keep going with this, to pursuing more opportunities, to pursuing growth and collaborations. It's a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, I absolutely love getting PR packages from brands. It feels really good. It's really amazing. Plus, who doesn't like free stuff? So I'm just writing on the sticky note what it is and who it is for. I will pull the sticky note off before I bring it downstairs or before I give it to someone, obviously, but I just don't want to forget what anything is. But anyway, so while I feel really good about where my channels are at, would I love more growth? Obviously, always, you know. I'm really happy with where things are, and I just don't think it's realistic to say that I'm going to treat this exactly the same way as I treat my freelance business and all, you know, that's just not how this is going to work. But that being said, I plan to grow and to continue on and to do more, and also just really have fun with it, because like I said, this is more than a hobby. I do make some money from this at this point, not enough that would be an income, but it definitely, at the very least, it definitely pays for itself, right? Like everything that I purchase in terms of stickers and washi and all of that, as well as everything that I spend on kind of like filming equipment and that kind of stuff, is definitely paid for by what I make from the channels. So it allows me to enjoy my hobbies in a really amazing way that also, you know, doesn't really cost me a lot of money anymore. So in general, I feel pretty good about those goals. I'm just not sure what kind of goals I want to set for myself for next year. I would like to have some goals for social media. At this point, as much of a hobby as, you know, the things that I film myself doing, I really enjoy like the process of content creation, of filming, even like getting better about enjoying editing. I like editing for like reels and TikToks and stuff like that. Less so for YouTube videos, but I still do it. But yeah, there's just kind of not sure exactly what the next steps for myself are, because they're maybe not what I was thinking they would be at the beginning of the year. Here is my messy wrapping tip for you if you ever do a thing like I just did where you accidentally left a little bit of a gap there that you don't want, is I just will cut myself a scrap of wrapping paper and stick that on the bottom, like underneath where I fold it, and then just kind of fold things back around and then use some tape to cover it. I'm not the best wrapper, but that is my little tip for you. So that was it in the work and learning category. The next category is family and relationships, where my word was connected. I think that's a really good word for that category. And I had 3 goals in this category. One was build perseverance and independence in the kids and teach them to be good citizens of the world. Like, are you ever done with that? I mean, we've had like some highs and lows in that category this year. I want to spend a lot more time being more thoughtful about that next year. Some of that is like naturally evolving and, you know, just comes naturally from the style of parenting that my husband and I have cultivated over our 8 years as parents. But I do think being like a little bit more intentional about it, and I also think I really want to focus on the way we communicate with our kids and making that different for each of them, because they have all 3 of them have such different personalities, and like the way that I talk to my son or explain things to him when he is having a moment, when he's not doing, when he is like having a breakdown, needs to be different than the way that I talk to my youngest, who still needs like a very firm toddler discipline hand, and my oldest, who is a lot more emotionally sensitive and empathetic than my son, who's a lot more like me and easily seems like a lot more analytic and straightforward and cut to the point kind of a person. So like the way that they all express their emotions is different, and the way that they handle situations and stress is different, and we should spend more time focusing on giving them what they need rather than trying to handle them all the same way based on what like my personality is and the way that I would want to be talked to in that situation, which just because of what it is, like I have a lot easier of a time enforcing discipline on my 2 younger children. My son, because of his personality, which I think is very similar to mine, and my youngest just because that saying no toddler type discipline is kind of what I excel at, but that doesn't work for my very empathetic 8-year-old anymore, and I need some new tools in my toolbox to help her. My next one was focus on genuine connection with my husband, with the kids, and throughout our family. I feel really connected and like affirmed in my marriage, and I appreciate my husband so much, and he is so wonderful, and we have seen each other through like great times and bad times this year, and just in general I feel really strong in my marriage and where we're at, so I feel like 10 out of 10 on that one. The kids, like I just said in the last part, I do want to, not that I've done badly on that, but I do want to build out some of those skills a little bit more, especially as they like really grow into their personalities. Next up, I'm not sure what else like Hanukkah wise. I need to think for a minute on that. So I'm gonna switch over and I'm going to wrap some Christmas presents for my niece and nephew. I have this really cute wrapping paper from Costco that's actually like double-sided, and it's got like these blue and gold trees on one side and then snowflakes on the other. It's really, really cute. And I have this giant monster truck thing, which I showed in my non-planner Black Friday haul. That is for my nephew, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Throughout my general and wider family, I feel pretty good about this. I think that it's like part building that closeness. My family is very close, and my husband's family, we're pretty close with both sides. So it's part like building that, but part of that is also just maintaining boundaries. And I think that I've done a good job. And I think that for the most part, I've done a pretty good job, you know, kind of respecting both of those things. At different points of the year, some of that had to shift more towards about maintaining boundaries. And at different times of the year, it was more about, you know, about those connections. The way that I grade myself on this is the way that I want to feel about it and not the way other people necessarily want to feel about it. And then my last goal in this category was build and maintain my own friendships, and I think it's a little bit more mixed results in this category. I have had periods of time throughout this year where I've done like a better job seeing my own friends, but I think I really want to focus in on that more this year. Making new friends, making friends in our community, you know, focusing in on play dates where I like the parents and things like that, which I feel like that sounds a little selfish, but also, you know, it's really helpful. Especially for my youngest, she has been playing with like a little girl in her class whose mom I really like, and that's really nice then, especially because she's not old enough for a drop-off play date yet. And that was it for the family and relationships category. I definitely think this is a category that I want to focus on more for next year and spend some effort on my relationship with my kids, with my extended family, and also with friends. So on the next set of pages here, starting with my health and wellness goals, I have 3 goals in this category. The first one is about like movement / exercise. I'm not gonna get real heavy into the specifics in this. If you saw my reflections video last year, it's not something that I talk a lot in my channel, but I have a long and not so positive historic relationship with food and wellness and exercise and different things like that. And prior to MakseLife, this is something that predates MakseLife. For me, I've done a lot of work on myself in this category around repairing my relationship with food, around repairing my relationship with fitness, and just not engaging with anything related to diet culture. And as a consequence of that, as a consequence of the things that I do to protect myself, which I feel like have worked really well for me, and I am in a much better space with that than I ever was in my teens or even through most of my 20s, it makes it really hard for me to set goals in this category. And to talk about the goals that I set in this category. So I had 3 goals this year. The first one was specifically around exercise, and it said to find new ways to move more and enjoy it in a way that feels fun and carefree. So like I literally, like, I'm not going to write exercise in a goal for me. Like that to me doesn't feel like it's gonna lead to a healthy place. So I tried to focus on what I wanted out of it. Would I like to exercise more and be more active? Yes, but I need to do it in a way that doesn't feel like it's gonna lead to a negatively impact my mental health. That being said, I feel like I've done a decent job of it this year. Again, this always tends to be an area where I struggle. One thing that I did do this year that I've really liked is I got a ClassPass membership, and I've started taking some exercise classes sometimes, which is something that I used to find really, really fun. Again, I need this to be carefree. I would like to continue doing that and maybe do it a little bit more, but the goals in this category, while I would like to accomplish them, they also need to be low pressure. And then on the other side, I said build and maintain routines that help me be my best self. And when I wrote this, I was thinking a lot about sleep habits and also like skincare, my dental routine, things like that. And I've had some ups and downs with all those routines. In general, it's been pretty good. I do pretty well with my sleeping routine, like getting to bed on time, with the one caveat that, like, unless I'm like really caught in a good book, and I have been reading a lot this year, so I've definitely had some days where, you know, I stayed up way too late reading and regretted it in the morning. But in general, that one's working really well. My dental routine has also been working really well, but even more than that, I ended up having all of my like original dental work that happened while I was in high school replaced this year, and it seems to have been the miracle cure that it was promised to be. So fingers crossed that continues. My teeth feel really great right now, and I've seen really great results. So I'll be back at the dentist in like a couple months, and we'll check in then, but it seems like that is headed in a much better direction. I kind of regret not doing the dental work sooner. I thought it ended up not being nearly as expensive as I thought it would be, because way more of it was actually covered by insurance than I was expecting, which is great. It was still pretty expensive, but it was something we knew was coming. But yeah, anyway, I'm really happy with that right now. I will keep building those routines this year. I've tried to build out some skincare routine, and I'd really like to develop that even more for next year. You know, I'm in my mid-30s, getting older, gotta take care of that skin. And then the other one was continue to build and live by the master calendar. So that goal will be also in the home category as well. I think that I did a decent job with it in the health and wellness category, less so in the home category. In my spiritual and personal growth category, my word was mindset. I have a mantra here, which is a mantra that I just absolutely love and has been so helpful to me throughout the year and throughout the years really. And that's let go of what you can't control and focus on what you can control. I'm going to credit this one to my husband, and not that exact phrasing, but that is like very much how he naturally lives his life, and it's something that I so admire about him. And we've really tried to teach our kids this as well, and I've also really tried to focus on this, and this has helped me so much. Like in any situation, in relationships, dealing with people, dealing with all different kinds of situations, you can't control what other people are doing. You can't control the world around you. You can't control when kids get sick or, you know, when a tree falls in your yard and causes damage, anything like that. Those are things that happen to you. Those are external stressors and you have no control over them. All you can control is how you react to them, and really focusing on that, on focusing on the things that are within my control, has just helped with my mindset and maintaining a positive attitude and high energy throughout the entire year. The next one is to create balance between connection and boundaries, engage and build relationships, but protect my own peace and mental health. And I think I talked a lot about this on the family side already, but that is kind of where the other piece of that equation comes in. Again, we do spend a lot of time with our extended family, and you know, that is wonderful and a blessing, but if you have a family, you know how that can be. So just, you know, continuing on with that, I think I've done a pretty good job with that this year. I feel really good about my relationships with my family as a whole, so I think that that one was pretty successful. The next one was to pursue volunteering opportunities that help build our community and foster connection. And that was written specifically with the school PTA in mind. I'm the treasurer for our elementary school PTA, which is my oldest daughter's school, and I think that's really been really wonderful. I feel like I'm really helping them because treasurer is not necessarily a skill set that everyone has. In particular, finding someone who has the skills to do the books for the PTA and to do all of that stuff, but also who has time in their schedule and can still be there like during the day to volunteer in the school and things like that is really, I do feel like, helps them a lot, and I really enjoy it as well. So that has been great. I decided at the beginning of this year to give up my preschool volunteering responsibilities, and I'm not class parent anymore in any preschool class, and I do think that that was a really good decision for me. It's kind of the opposite of that goal, and that's fine. So definitely a little bit of evolution on that category. I think that just gets into like finding the balance. I only have so much time in my day, and again, my business was growing so much at that point, and I really didn't enjoy volunteering in the preschool anymore. So I still love the preschool, and I love our preschool community, but PA is a lot of work, and yeah, and I enjoy that a lot more, and I feel like I'm a lot more useful. Wins over replacement, is that like a sports statistic, right? Like I feel like I am more useful than average on that volunteering than I am compared to like what I would be as like a preschool room parent. So I was happy to let that other one go. The next category is financial, and my word of the year there is involved, and I have 4 goals in this category. One, super concrete, was to do our taxes, and I did that. I accomplished that. So I did my taxes this year, or our taxes this year, and I will be also doing them next year. Then the other one was understand my spending and channel and business finances. I'm gonna say I crushed this one. I have done a really good job with this. I now have a financial routine that applies to like my freelance business and also to my channel stuff that goes in, and I feel like I've done a really good job with that. And like I said, I feel like what I spend on like hobby materials, planner, stuff like that is covered by the money that I bring in from my social media channels. And I also feel like I have a really good understanding of my business finances. I do work freelance. That does mean that there is like a cyclical nature. I don't make the same amount of money every month. I do have a really good system for tracking that and for being aware of things. The way that our finances work is like we live our day-to-day, week-to-week expenses can be lived on like entirely on my husband's income. So we're protected even if I had like a month where I made 0, but then my income goes to our savings to like big spending and things like that. We don't think about it like that because we don't separate our spending like that. But if we had to, we have enough of a cushion that even if I have a low income month, it doesn't really impact our lifestyle. And then my next goal here is take a more active role in our long-term finances. This one I kind of did. I more just kind of let this one go. So day-to-day finances, like bill tracking, that kind of stuff is very much my domain, but like the long-term savings plan and my husband has like this obsession with our save to spend ratio that I won't get into. It's like something he talks about all of the time. That seems like that is very much his domain and also his area of expertise from his own career. I feel like I have a basic grasp of that and I feel comfortable with the basic grasp I have of it. But I am a financially literate person and I feel comfortable with it and like with the overall plan and everything, but I also don't feel like it will help very much double check every single thing that he's doing or to like spend hours looking over things that when we have a system that works really well between us. I can spend a time doing like the short term and the medium term piece and he can spend his time doing the long term piece and then that can come together as like one thing and we can look at it together and be like, great, we're on track. Then the last category, and I'm going to wrap up this Erin Cadra notebook for my nephew. The last category is physical environment. My word of the year in this category was complete. I have 3 goals in this category. The first one is complete the projects we've been talking about, and then I had a list of projects. So the first one on that list was the basement remodel. Very happy to say that that is done. I did also I've shared that space like a couple of times and here on my non-planner haul, so if you wanna, you can sneak over to that video. It's not a very long video. If you wanna see what our remodeled basement looks like, I've also shared that in a lot of detail, especially on TikTok, and I'm so happy with how it came out and we're really loving it. There's like a few last things we wanna buy for that space, but it's really very much finished, and we just need like to buy a couple of chairs and for like a crafting table / desk down there. And then, you know, that space will continue to evolve as the kids get older and stuff because that is their playroom. We also have a brand new TV down there and a really nice couch, and I'm very excited for how that space looks. Then the next one on the list was shutters. We ultimately had to give this one up. This was like on my goals for I think like a year and a half, and we got so many quotes on this and like so many different things, but we have a stone house. It's an older home and it's very hard to put shutters on a house like that, and we just decided it wasn't worth it, so we just ripped down all of the old broken ones and decided to not do that. I think in the next 3-year time horizon, we're going to be replacing all of our windows, and we can evaluate the decision about shutters at that point. But it doesn't make sense to put shutters on windows that are going to be replaced in the short term, and it's really, really hard to drill shutters into the stone we have. Next one was the garden and outside. We've done a pretty good job with this, and this is actually going to be like, we have a couple of big projects that we've been talking about. My husband and I picked out for this for next year. We did a pretty okay job with gardening this year. I always have that like on my list. I'm really, really bad at it. It's not like, I have like whatever the opposite of a green thumb is what I have, like kill all plants. And so we try every year. We have with like mixed success. We did it, and we also got it cleaned up at the end of the year, which was like a huge win for us. We ended up having to have like a little bit of drainage work done outside the house this year, so not necessarily fun, but super necessary. And we bought a swing set for outside. I think that was last year actually. But we have more projects planned in this area. We spend a lot of time outside when the weather is nice. We have an incredible yard. It's one of my favorite things about our house. So definitely want to keep investing in that. And we've got some projects already lined up that we are going to add to our list for next year. And then the other projects were my daughter's big girl room. So we were moving my daughter out of her crib and into a big girl bed, which is done. This project is half done. She has these built-in cabinets in her room that are navy blue, and we would like to paint them white, but it's a pretty big investment to do because of the wood. And I'm not sure if it's something I can do myself or if it's worth it to pay someone else to do. What I decided to do was buy her new stuff for her room, like new bedding and stuff, pretending that they're white because it's really hard to match the navy blue with like the color scheme and like designs that she wants. So that's kind of like half done, and we will continue to work on that space next year, but her room is looking pretty good already. Then the last one was our bedroom. I really wanted to get new bedding for our bed. This one was kind of funny because I like, comforter was like my favorite thing, but it was like really worn out and I wanted a new one, but I really just wanted a new one of the same one that I had, which was not an option because it wasn't available. But so I did find something extremely similar to replace it, and I'm really happy with how our room looked and also looks now. So anyway, it's done. The next one is improve the daily cleaning routine and get the kids involved. This one's definitely been like an up and down throughout the year. Right now I'm feeling pretty good about it and about where things are. That's definitely had some high points and low points over the course of the year, and I think just continuing to work on that next year as well. And then the last one was maintain and build onto our master calendar. This goal is a complete fail for this year. Probably like my biggest fail of the year. And related to that, I feel like we've kind of backslid on some of the big annual maintenance things that we all want to do. And I really want to spend some time working on that, improving our systems, the daily clean, extending that out. Like, what are the big deep cleans that I want to do every month? When do I want to do them? Like, let's make more of a schedule around that, more of a schedule around like regular annual home maintenance, having that in like a more functional format than what I previously built. So I will be spending a lot of time thinking through that, how I want to phrase it in my goals, and definitely working on that for next year. I think that's probably going to be one of my stretch goals for next year. That is the last goal in that category and the last of my goals. So that is every single one of my annual goals talked about and how I feel like I did on all of them. That is my sticker vision board. That is the page after that. We'll take a closer look when I dive into my 2024 annual goals. But now that that is done, I'm feeling like really reconnected, really familiar with my annual goals again, really thinking about the past year, which is perfect because that means it can be time to break out my reflections notebook, do some journaling, and then I will be all ready to set up for 2024. So I'm ready to work on the reflections booklet now. I'm gonna flip through this so you can see what all the blank prompts look like, and then I'm just gonna speed you through some of this process with a little bit of a voiceover and just really touch on the highlights of this. We got pretty deep with my goal by goal reflections, and I already know how long the video is from that because I actually edited that before I did this process, because while I was editing it, you get some extra notes pages in the back here. I took notes on some of the things that I was saying and some of the things that I especially mentioned that I wanted to include in my goals for next year. That way I have that handy while I set my goals. But when you open this up, it says the 2023 year-end reflections notebook. This is the exact same prompts as it was last year. It just says 2023 instead of 2022. You get a compass assessment space. I'm going to use this space to do the same subjective scoring, and then I will take the assessment, the actual questions again when I do my goal setting process. And I only plan to do that question assessment once for the entire year. That is what Sierra has said is the most recommended. Then after that you get, and if you don't have the compass assessment, or if you want the questions and you don't have a MakseLife, they are available as a free printable. They're available as a free printable on the MakseLife website. Then we have got wins. What were my wins in 2023? What accomplishments did I have? Highlights. What were the highlights of 2023? Challenges. What challenges did I overcome this year? Lessons. What did I learn about myself? What am I most proud of this year? Growth. How have I changed and how have I grown from a year ago? What am I gratitude? What am I most grateful for in 2023? What's working? What things are currently working well in my life? What's not working? What things are not currently working well in my life? Impact. How do I want people to experience me? In what ways do I want to create an impact in the lives of my loved ones or the world at large? Adjustments. What adjustments do I want to make to my life in 2024? And then there's some guided reflections here. 3 words to describe 2023, 3 words to describe how I felt in 2023, 3 words to describe how I want to feel in 2024. What am I most excited about in 2024? And what areas of life will be my focus in 2024? What am I going to say no to in 2024? What am I going to say yes to? What am I going to stop apologizing for? Who will be my support network in 2024? Then a letter to me, where you can write yourself, your future self, a letter, and then you've got the blank notes pages in the back. I am going to start on this now. I'm going to work on some of it. Some of this, the letter, I will definitely do after my goal setting, not before. I really liked that last year, and I'll do that again, but we're just going to kind of dive in. So I jumped right into the wins. I totally forgot about the compass assessment. I did mean to do that first, but I didn't. So I will do that at the beginning of my next session in here, which was, I did work on this booklet 3 separate times, all in the course of this little sped up portion you're going to see right now. Again, I started with the wins, and one thing that I really love to do with wins at the end of the year, especially, is to make sure I come up with a win in every category, because there are so many smaller wins that we celebrate, and yeah, my mind tends to just grab onto 1 or 2 things to focus on, but really I have a win in every category. Some of them are a little bit smaller, but I still think they're worth celebrating. So I really like to try and celebrate a win from every life area. Then for highlights, I just started listing them, and a definite trend emerging that a lot of these are actually like trip or mini trip adventures, little vacations that we took. A lot of those things are. I mean, we had other things on that list as well, but a lot of travel stuff. So definitely want to zoom in on that again more next year, especially as the kids are getting older. It's just really fun to do something that I used to love a lot when I was younger, and we stopped for a while, first because of kids and then because of COVID, and just trying to get back to that. And then I wrote through some challenges, just talking about especially like the burns and everything like that, and just some other things that happened throughout the year. And then on growth, I ended up writing a lot about, my strength, and I just feel really proud of myself for this year. And especially on the business side of things, I'm just feeling really, really great about my own business right now. And that's an amazing feeling. So a lot of that stuff was about that. And then also just kind of like overcoming the pain from the burns, and just still doing fun things and getting out there and taking that trip, which I do feel like was a really huge accomplishment. Physical pain, but also just a very, very eye-opening experience to have my face and neck, like very visible parts of my body, just so visibly injured for such a long period of time. On the gratitude one, I have so much that I'm grateful for always, but I decided to really just focus in on one thing, and the one thing that I'm most grateful for this year is my husband. And I just wrote like a whole journal prompt about how grateful I am for him, which is like way more emotional than I typically get with these types of things. And I actually had to pause after this one. I was just not feeling it at that moment. I was like, okay, I need to step back from this and take a little emotional recovery break. So then this now that I'm working on is actually the second session that I worked on this. I went back to the compass assessment. I copied over my scores from the beginning of the year from when I took the assessment, and then since then I've been doing a subjective scale, like I said, and I will continue to do that next year. So I'll take the assessment once and then go with the subjective scale for the rest of the year, and I'll use that to reset my scores. I am definitely a glass half full, grade yourself super highly kind of person, so my scores do tend to creep up when I'm doing that subjective thing. So I'll reset with the assessment, and I'll create a whole new scale for next year. So I can't really necessarily compare the year over year. For me, it's a lot easier to like reset. I just have a hard time giving myself a low score. That's just kind of how I'm wired. But I do feel like all of this builds, and I feel better than I did last year, and I felt better last year than I did the year before that. So it's definitely an additive process. I just need to kind of like recalibrate my scores every so often, so that I'm not just pushing everything up and then it just kind of starts to lose all meaning. And then I just copied over the quarterly assessment results into my last quarterly companion notebooks as well. That way I would just have them, and then I kind of just wrote a little quick summary of those questions as well. I kind of flew through that part because we're obviously in the process of doing a ton of reflection. And then we got to the not working and working page, and I don't know why I was like dreading doing this so much, but I just didn't feel like writing a journal prompt about this. So I just decided to like do a just brain dump of all the words that were coming to mind on things that were working and not working. And then I'm going to color code them according to the life area. So just like let a bunch of words pop into my head. And I found this a little bit more helpful and useful and just manageable. I felt like I did a lot of journal style writing in here, and I was really, this process to me last year definitely felt a little bit more smooth. Like I was really in a reflective state of mind last December, and I'm just not really feeling that right now. So I'm trying to do it because I do feel like it's helpful, but I also don't want to like push myself to the point where I'm just like writing down whatever and it's not even making sense. So we went with this little bit more free form style for this. I skipped over the impact one. I find that question really, really difficult. I will try and revisit that again, before my goals, but it's not going to be on this video. And yeah, and then for the adjustments, I tried to focus on like those 3 key themes that are going to be my 3 main focuses for the year, just like around some of the relationships and some of the kid stuff, the home management, and then just like kind of my day-to-day schedule, balancing, you know, kind of creating a balance and that kind of things between like fun time, free time, work time. And then I did for the guided reflections page, I misread one of the prompts and then I ended up just like keeping going and then just drew arrows to the appropriate signs. And for that, I revisited all of my old quarterly notes to find the words that I used the most throughout the year. And overall, I had a really great year. And happy is a word that I used so often to describe how I was feeling this year. Just such a lovely word to have be the most reoccurring word throughout my planners this year. I am just so proud of that. All right, let's just flip through the reflections book one last time. We've got the compass assessment, the wins and highlights, challenges and lessons, growth and gratitude, working and not working. I'm going to come back to the impact statement, adjustments, and then we have this guided reflections page here. I may add more to this throughout as well. You know, continue to work on this a little bit until I set my goals and after, and then I'm gonna do the letter after I set my goals. I did the same thing last year and I really enjoyed that. I just feel like it really helps me focus my thoughts for that. And then I use the notes section, which I will continue to use over the next week or so until my goals are fully set, to kind of continue to brainstorm out ideas for my goals for next year. So that is it for my reflections, and that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this very long reflections video. Let me know some of your reflections from the past year in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can also come back tomorrow for another PLANMAS video. Also check me out on Instagram and TikTok at MyCraftyPlans for even more planner fun, and I will see you soon, and I will have new 2024 goals soon. I'm super excited. I will talk to you all tomorrow.